Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life.
All right, you ready to crack into it?
Why not? Let's do it.
Hats?
Brendo, how are you?
I'm well. How you going?
I'm excited.
Do we want to? Can we tell people what just happened before we?
No.
Yeah, we need to.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so as our few listeners know, Hats does not like anything that flies, moves, crawls, anything. Anyway,
Yeah.
a decently sized huntsman presented itself on his side of the desk. He ran away to get spray. He sprayed it, and just as we brought our guests in, what seemed to be the mama huntsman pretty much beeline for your feet.
Yeah, I can still feel a bit shaky. I'll be okay. I'll be okay.
It was hilarious.
Can I do this a little bit?
Yeah, please.
Is this good? Because I generally don't do introducing any. I'm not really the guy who kind of does the introductions and stuff. But this is a good one for me.
Yeah.
I'm quite excited by this one.
Although, hang on. It's not Jeff Booth.
Well, I was just going to say, our guest doesn't know. You just ruined it. But anyway,
Sorry.
Our guest doesn't know, but there are basically three people that I've said to Brendo
That you want to have sex with.
I want to have them on the pod, right? And once we've had them on the pod, then we can just shut the pod. That's basically it. We're game over at that point. So, and the three people are Jeff. Jeff is one. Knut Svanholm, and the third one, Lawrence Fishburne. Right?
Oh, that's right.
Quite exciting, right? So, I mean, even our guest is sitting there looking at us as if to say, "Is Lawrence Fishburne coming on?" No, how are you, man?
Well, if you bring Lawrence Fishburne on, make sure you don't call him Samuel L. Jackson by mistake.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
So
you're allowed to call me Jeff Booth by mistake, though. I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that.
No, that's good. No, mate. Thank you very much for coming on. It's genuine pleasure for me. And Brendo is not fussed, but it's thank you for making the time. You've had an electrician round or something, and you managed to squeeze us in, and so thank you.
Yeah, the electricians. It seems like the electricity in this house is poorly done. So they need to come back next week and do a more thorough surgery.
Did they actually turn up? And you said, no, I'm sorry, two-bit idiots. I can't do it now.
Well, I told them I had a Zoom call I needed to be on, but I also told them that I could probably postpone it. But then they realized they had to do another job today in a pool. Being an electrician in a pool sounds like a worthless job to me. But anyway, they had to do that. So they basically said, this operation is too big. We need to come back next week.
Cool. All right. Well, lucky us.
Yeah, exactly. We win. So for anybody that out there that doesn't know Knut Svanholm, can I just do a quick? He's a tall ship sailor. He's a shipping crew manager. He's a rock music singer. He's a speaker. He's a philosopher. He's a writer. He's a meme creator. And the first question has to be, are you still a pleb?
I'm definitely still a pleb. I would be lying if I said I didn't feel a bit more like an OG in Miami than before, but I still consider myself a pleb, and I don't believe I'll ever stop considering myself a pleb.
So can I go back to that list? Is that all of that true?
I think it is true.
I'm not currently all those things, but
you have been
at some point. Yeah.
Okay, go. Sorry, just quickly.
Tall ship sailor.
Tall ship sailor. Yep. Next one.
Not like as in Michael, just as in boat.
Well, we'll come to that.
Yeah.
Well, as in Michael. In a way.
Yes, yes. Well, we'll have to get there. I don't know if this one may be incorrect. Shipping crew manager. I mean, I did a bit of research.
Yeah. I was the crew manager for 250 employees at an offshore wind crew transfer vessel company.
Oh wow!
So we manage small ships, or boats rather, taking crews or technicians and repairmen back and forth to wind turbines in the Baltic and the North Sea.
Wow. And what was the next one?
Yeah, it's incredible that they put a psychopath in charge of that. That's good.
Yeah, good for the owners. Yeah. Questionable if it was good for the employees, but
rock music singer.
Yeah, that's the one I'm interested in. What's that about?
Yeah, I used to be in a band who made it to like level 2 band wise. We signed a record contract and we got promoted on the Pirate Bay, and then the band disbanded like half a year after that or so. But we managed to play some gigs and have like I wouldn't call it a hit single, but it got some attention on the Pirate Bay. Lure Out the Beast was the name of the band.
What kind of? So was it like heavy rock?
Yeah, grunge type thing. So like.
Can we find that? Could we find that on YouTube or somewhere right now?
Yeah, you can Google Lure Out the Beast, and I guess the single Driven will come up. Will be the first results.
Oh,
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. What else was
I think I've seen.
So that was it had some part of my Bitcoin career, I guess. Being in that, like writing lyrics was like the first thing I tried to write in English, and I've been writing like song lyrics for a long time. And when that video became sort of viral-ish, I realized that this internet thing might not be impossible to like, it might not be impossible to get some attention on the internet after all. So,
there we go.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, Driven. I won't play it now, but
we'll link it up. No. We'll link it up for anybody who wants to listen.
I want to see.
I'm the singer.
Like throwing your hair around. You got long hair in this? Is that you
there?
I
do. Yeah.
Look at the side. Look how long his hair is. Oh man, that's awesome. All right, I don't care about the rest. You've won me over.
All right. What do we got now? Speaker? Are you considering yourself a speaker now?
A public speaker? Yeah, I guess. I've been speaking at some conferences, and well, I sort of started doing that just before COVID. So and the stupid lockdown. So I haven't been able to travel around that much. But yeah, I've been speaking in public more lately than before. Even though I wouldn't maybe I wouldn't call myself a speaker just yet.
Do you enjoy that?
I've been on a lot of pods, and I really enjoy these conversations, and tumbling down one cavern or another in the rabbit hole, see where it leads. I really enjoy that, and I think for me it's good practice as well to just make arguments for something and trying to be coherent. And my writing helps my thinking, my improvisational thinking during these interviews, and vice versa. So it helps my writing to talk about things and trying to be coherent in what I say.
Yeah.
So sorry, go on, please.
So where are you based?
In Spain at the moment.
Okay. Yeah. Right. And the exact address?
New camp.
The exact address is fuck you idiots somewhere.
what we have on this pod is what we call a docs jar. So anytime someone doxes a name or something significant, we then throw in it's up to I think we do 1,000 sats, and the plan is at the end of the year we're going to donate that to some cause. So I was just trying to fully bait you there, but
yeah, we're just trying to take the stats.
You passed the test.
Insulted you back.
He's practiced. He's been.
Speaking of insults, before we get into the Miami thing, I need to tell you this, but while I remember it, was one of the peak moments of Miami 2022 for me was I was having some food at a place on Lincoln Road with Fractal and Crypt, the artist. We were sitting there. We lived together during the conference. We rented an apartment with some other guys, and all of a sudden, a very American-looking fellow passes us, and he's like, he walks up to me and he's like, Knut Svanholm, because and I'm sort of getting used to being recognized at that point. So I'm almost, I wouldn't say annoyed, but because I still like being recognized in a sense. But I'm having my food, so I'm like, yes, and he points at himself and he goes, Greg, and I'm like,
Foss?
Greg? Question mark. No, I would have recognized Greg Foss. So he's like, Greg? Question mark. Wait for it. And I'm like, Greg? And he's like, Greg. And I suddenly get it. So I stand up and I throw my arms at him. I'm like, oh, fuck you, Greg.
Oh, no way. That's awesome.
And so for those of you that don't know, there's a meme going around this Greg guy, Greg Sash, and the meme is saying "fuck you, Greg" to him. So yeah,
that's brilliant.
I got to do that live.
Imagine meeting someone that was so fun.
The first words I said to him were "fuck you, Greg." So I'm so proud of that. I nailed it. I passed the test.
I didn't even know where that originated. So how did that actually originate? The "fuck you, Greg"?
I don't know either. I just know that everyone started saying "fuck you, Greg" to him at some point, and he seemed to enjoy it. So and he's one of the funniest guys in the space. So being able to just hug him and say "go fuck you, Greg," that's peak Bitcoiner in real life moment.
That's very cool. Very cool.
So you nailed it. I'm going to quickly just tell a quick story. I don't think I've done this before. I was once in Vietnam as a backpacker basically, and I was traveling to by myself. I was on a bus, and the guy in front of me was reading a Lonely Planet. Lee, nice guy. Hi, Lee. And then I said, and I didn't have a Lonely Planet. I said, mate, could you mind if I read your Lonely Planet? And then I was, Vietnam is a country of great history and whatever, and awful history, but a lot of history. And so I'm reading the Lonely Planet, and in the first page it said something like, "There's a water park."
Yes.
So I was like, "Oh wow, water parks! I love water parks!" Like a complete and utter loser. Anyway, fast forward to the next day. We're in this water park. Myself, Lee, and 3 other people. We're going round. The lazy river. They're like the thing that just sort of floats along, and you go round in a circle.
Oh,
so
like a big.
You're in a ring
inflatable thing.
Inflatable, and you're just floating along in the.
Like what the most boring attraction. In the
exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. But it's going around about the wave pool, and the wave pool is filling up with Vietnamese children, right? Lots of them. And I was just thinking, I'm just thinking the waves are coming on, right? And then a band came on the stage. No idea who this band were, but the kids clearly knew who the band were, and they were quite excited. So by this stage, we were around the back of the stage, and myself, Lee, and another guy from Holland, his name will come back to me anyway. He said to us, "Come on, let's just jump on the stage." And I was like, no, I'm not jumping on the stage. Anyway, we jumped on this. We climbed over a garden, climbed over a fence. We're on the stage. Three white guys with bright orange Ringos behind a band, and the kids thought this was hilarious. The band hadn't seen us, so we were dancing like a few idiots at the back. Anyway, eventually the band turned around, saw us, and luckily they thought it was funny too, and they came up and they put the microphone right in my face. And if there was ever a moment where I could have said "Good morning, Vietnam," that was my moment. And I managed to come out with "Hello." That was it. So well done on
missed
Neil.
Opportunity.
Totally missed.
Missed. At least you didn't say "fuck you" Vietnam.
Well, yeah. Could have been worse. Where did we get to? Oh, okay, so speaker we covered. Philosopher and writer.
Yes.
I think they're combined really. Your writing is, you're a philosophical thinker. And that comes across definitely in writing.
So. Yeah, I guess so. I guess I can call myself that at this point without being too embarrassed.
And for those people that don't know, which I think most people would, you came up with the, what is it? Everything divided by 21 million.
The
meme, the everyone's getting a tattoo. I would love a tattoo with that on it.
Yeah, there you go. You're basically printing people's bodies at this point.
Totally. Which is also
it's surreal.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome. But it also happens to be the title of your book, yeah?
The latest one.
Yeah, when the meme caught on as much as it did, I sort of had to write the book, didn't I? So I wrote the book.
Did you expect, when you kind of thought about that, did you expect that to resonate as well as it did? And I know, I mean, particularly for hats,
what you mean?
The
meme?
like the yeah, the everything divided by 21 million.
Now the story about that is like I was sitting on my couch writing an article about the Banach-Tarski paradox, which I had just been watching a YouTube video about, some phenomenon in mathematics that is really weird, and I tried to tie that to Bitcoin for some odd reason. And I was really sleepy at the time. I almost fell asleep on the couch, and I like didn't really know what I was writing. It felt just like it felt relaxing to just wander off in different directions. And when I was done with it, I sent it to, I thought maybe I should like read this through one more time, or and then screw it, and I'll just send it to Hodlonaut and to Citadel 21 magazine, and he'll publish it, and we'll see what happens. So I didn't think much about it at that point, but then Guy Swan read it on his Bitcoin Audible podcast, and so I was in Copenhagen when that came out, and I had just been to a Bitcoin meetup, having a steak dinner and everything. And I was walking home to my hotel. My hotel was at the airport, and like the restaurant was in the city center. So I got quite a long walk from Nyhavn to Amager in Copenhagen, which is like, it's about a mile. So a metric mile, that is. And I was listening to his narration of the article, and I realized like this is pretty good. This is sort of the best thing I've ever written, I think. So I was very happy with it. And in the article is the phrase, "Imagine everything there is divided by 21 million." And so I contacted this. We had planned on doing a collaboration for a long time. This animator Joni Appelberg, who's one of the most underrated Bitcoiners I know of, because he makes these excellent little animations. And I had been a fan of his for like years before this, so I was so happy that he wanted to do something with me. So I had given him the article and like Guy's narration of it, and he made this beautiful little animation. This little video of it, in which this equation shows up with the infinity sign and dash, and in the denominator is like 21M. And that's the one that became so iconic, and it just took off after that. And this was, and in hindsight, I realized like there's so much more to this story. So if you don't mind, I'll go on.
Please.
This last August in 2021, I went to Mexico to Ugly Old Goat's Bitcoin Standard Conference in Ensenada, Mexico. So, and this was like the first big adventure trip after COVID. So I was really excited to go somewhere finally. So I went to Mexico, and in the beginning of August 2021, and at this point, the Infinity meme had already been retweeted by like Adam Back and Michael Saylor and whoever, and people had started attaching it to their Twitter handles and stuff. But then we realized at some point during the conference that Infinity divided by 21M is sort of like 8 divided by 21, or the 21st of August if you write dates the American way.
Yeah.
So I realized I could make it into like, if I could get someone to make an animation so that the 8th was, we can make a little holiday here and call it Bitcoin Infinity Day.
Yeah.
So we just decided that on a fluke. We had no plan for what Bitcoin Infinity Day was or anything, but it just seemed so obvious that this is supposed to be a holiday. So I announced Bitcoin Infinity Day on Tonevay's podcast, and then that took off because Michael Saylor tweeted about Bitcoin Infinity Day, and then everyone knew about it. And I got some guy to do the animation and some other guy to do a website, a small website, and it grew, and like we brainstormed on what it was all about, and now Bitcoin Infinity Day is when you stack 21 times your normal daily average stack. So everyone is supposed to stack a lot of Bitcoin on 21st of August.
That's great.
Another thing that happened that was completely that was the most mind-blowing thing was that Fractal and Crypt caught on to the idea and created these infinity keys. I don't know if you've seen them. They're little placards with a key on them, private and public keys. So and we were riffing on the idea back and forth. At some point, the first prototype for that just said "fuck your shitcoin" and had nothing to do with the infinity meme. But then he saw that on Bitcoin Infinity Day, so he decided to do this and have them done in for Bitcoin Infinity Day or something like that. I don't remember every part of the story, but the thing is, he had only like 10 or 15 days to do this because we announced it in the beginning of August and the actual date was at the 21st.
Yeah.
So then he decided to do 21 of the private key and whatever 210 of the. No, he didn't decide the number of the public key. He was just going to sell them at an ever increasing price. So the price increased with each block that passed for 210 blocks. So a little more than 2 days. And the private keys he gave away to people, to some key people that had been involved in creating the meme, me and Yoni and Guy and like Michael Saylor and some other people. And then to people who could tell Fractal something about Bitcoin that they didn't know from before. So those got all those that could got rewarded with a private key. And then he auctioned out key 8 out of 21. And that went for 1.05 Bitcoin, worth around $60,000 or $70,000 or something at the time, which was really cool. And I was like watching that auction and I couldn't believe that this was happening to us. And I got key 1 out of 21.
Wow.
So like, yeah.
That's
so
awesome. That's a cool story.
So yeah, this is just, and then you have all these people with tattoos and everything. So this little equation that makes no sense whatsoever took. I'm just sitting here enjoying watching the world do what it does to it. And,
it's like a child. It's kind of growing up and doing its own thing away from
it. It is,
now.
and it's released now, and I can't do anything about it now except enjoy the ride, and I'm really enjoying it because, like, I don't. It feels like it like many creative things. It feels like it's not you doing them or creating them. You feel like you're channeling something. I don't believe that to be true, by the way. I don't believe that you are channeling anything. I think it's all in your brain, but it still feels like you're just a vessel for an idea, and like the idea is the beautiful thing. The vessel, don't mind the vessel. The vessel is of little concern, but the idea is the beautiful thing. And I think we should celebrate Bitcoin Infinity Day this fall too, don't you?
Happily. Happily.
Yeah.
If I've still got any fiat left to stack 21 times the amount, I'll try my best.
If you don't, just pretend that you do and celebrate it somehow anyway. Yeah.
It's super interesting because what I did today. So there's the 3 books. I haven't had the chance to read the latest one, but I will. But I don't
know that it's available. Is it available in Australia?
It's on Consensus, right?
Oh. Yeah, but it's available on Amazon everywhere now.
Oh, okay.
And there's an Audible version coming very soon. And there's like within a couple of weeks from now, I guess the Audible version will be out there, and there's a hardback version coming as well.
Yeah.
If you want that.
Yeah, I'll link through to the lot but it's but what's interesting. I think you've had 6 articles in Citadel 21. I didn't actually realize. I didn't actually realize that until I counted today. Like I didn't realize there's so many as that because I was looking for something in particular.
I haven't counted them myself, so you're probably right.
I think that's right. Maybe if there's more, I missed them. But and I've read them. But the what I was looking to find. So I read something you wrote. My daughter has bunk beds. I was lying in the bunk. She wasn't sleeping well, and she was lying in the top bunk. And I read something you wrote in the top bunk, and I literally read it and went, holy shit. And that's going to take a couple of days to sink through because something, it just clicked. And it's interesting. So I went through the articles today to see if I could find what it was that you said that totally clicked. And I'm going to read it. I hope I don't embarrass you. But imagine the entire world economy moving into Bitcoin. Everything there is divided by 21 million. A single Bitcoin would itself be enormously valuable, but it doesn't end there. New capital goods can still be invented and introduced into this economy, making each Bitcoin even more valuable. Now, that was in deeper down the rabbit hole, which I think is the one you just referred to, and I think it's the thing that you thought was maybe the best thing that you've written, which is interesting in itself. But your next one was Imagine Reimagined. Okay, now. And within that, you said, imagine everything there is and everything that will ever be divided by 21 million. Is there a progression in the thought, or what was that thought always there? Like,
I guess that's a progression in the thought. Yeah, it is. And maybe we should limit it to everything on this earth and everything that ever will be on this earth. To just not make it that impossible. But I have been in
that's
some
a bit
debates
too wordy. I like that.
I've been in some debates about whether Bitcoin will work on Mars or not, and I don't believe it will. So everything on Earth then, to limit it, so to make it less preposterous, but still, that's a progression of the thought. It definitely is.
Can you explain to people who are maybe just listening to us for the first time and maybe haven't come across yourself before, like, what are you talking about there? Like, how can it possibly be that? That was the clicking moment for me, right? Is that okay? Can you explain to people what the thought process is there for people who are just getting into it?
First, people will have to familiarize themselves with the term hyper-Bitcoinization. Because hyper-Bitcoinization, the general consensus on what that is like hyper-Bitcoinization is when all the money in the world gets converted into Bitcoin because Bitcoin is better money. And sooner or later, everyone will realize this. And due to Gresham's law and its opposite, Thayer's law, all money in the world will at some point convert into Bitcoin and everyone will start using that instead of all the crap we're using now. But to me, this is only a very early phase of hyper-Bitcoinization. It doesn't end there. To me, there's no end point to hyper-Bitcoinization. It's a continuous process, and it's the literal inverse of hyperinflation. Because in a hyperinflationary economy, it's impossible to make calculations because your money is losing value over time all the time. And in a hyper Bitcoinizary environment, your money is gaining in value all the time at an ever increasing rate. And this is also after everyone's converted into Bitcoin. It's not like the price of a bottle of milk, for instance, or whatever, a computer screen or a car. The prices of all these things can still go down post hyper Bitcoinization, or like after all the other fiat currencies are gone, because an economy prices are supposed to go down if you have sound money. The reason that we had price stability on under the gold standard was that during the gold standard, prices were fairly the same across the centuries, even it's because the ways in which you could find new gold, or the technologies for finding new gold, were getting better at the same rate as the other technologies were getting better. So manufacturing cars became cheaper, but so did finding new gold, because the equipment for finding new gold became better. So you the inflow of new gold on the market very much reflected the deflationary nature of technology everywhere else. So then you get stable prices. And now in the fiat world we live in now, and post computers especially, where Moore's law applies, so that due to Moore's law you have deflation in everything that has to do with electronics, and we have all seen decreasing prices in like storage and computing power over the last 50 years at an extreme rate of like how much cheaper everything has become in terms of what a computer can do. And that still has not damaged it hasn't stopped people from buying new computers by any stretch. So which gives you a hint to that deflation might not be such a bad thing after all. Like fiat economists always blame deflation for everything. But we have deflation in electronics, and it seems to be working fine. Now, where was I? Like what most people don't realize is that this efficiency increase in computers and the informationization of everything is affecting everything else as well. Everything else is also getting cheaper to produce. Like when you have robotics and automated factories, and like every transportation vehicle in the world is getting more efficient at transporting stuff from one region to another. Like all prices are really, all the costs of making stuff and transporting stuff are going down at an extreme rate everywhere. But prices do not reflect this, because the central banks think that they have to provide the general public with price stability. And price stability is an illusion. It's not what's supposed to happen. Prices are supposed to go down, not only because of technological progress, but like the price of a house, for instance. Your house deteriorates over time, so it's not supposed to go up in value. The only reason that it goes up in value is that the money you're using is going down in value. So in real terms, it's not going. If you denominate your house in Bitcoin, it's not going up in value; it's going down. But the fiat economy we live in, like, it incentivizes people to spend rather than to save, because like future money is treated as being as valuable as current money. Interest rates are so low so that we think that receiving something right now and paying for it later is as good as saving now and paying for it later, which is simply not true. And to me, like, to get back to your question about hyper Bitcoinization, like when we're on a Bitcoin standard, global Bitcoin standard, then we have a global sound money free market, a total global sound money free market, where all interactions between every person everywhere is voluntary, and no resources are misallocated, or almost no resources are misallocated. So everything is at its optimum efficiency, and we haven't seen that before ever. What we're living in now is a globalized society in a way, but it's severely handicapped. It's a dog on three legs, because there's interventionism everywhere. In every country, there's some bullshit intervening in the free markets, and there are like toll fees and VAT taxes and all the other taxes and inflation and everything. The free market doesn't exist. It's handicapped, and resources are misallocated at all times. So I believe that post hyper Bitcoinization, we will have a much more well-oiled economic machine, pushing progress forward faster. So it does not slow down; it speeds up. And like we might be in a very short-term mid-market thing here, where the Bitcoin price doesn't really do anything. But at some point, there's another bull run, and at one point there's the last bull run where it just keeps going up and there's no going down ever again. And that has
because there's nowhere else to go.
Happen. There's nowhere else to go, and it's not only because all fiat is going to zero, which is also true, but like once you're orange pilled and once you see these things for what they really are, there's no going back. There's not a single orange pilled person in the world that has ever been de-orange pilled. It doesn't matter. Gopher in the Matrix does not exist. You don't go back to the Matrix once you're. I mean,
that's a really good point. I've never thought about
that. There are bad actors, of course, who will continue. They realize that, but they're orange pilled too. They realize that this is the thing. I will do whatever I can to accumulate as much Bitcoins as possible, and then they start a shitcoin casino or something, or try to fool you try to deprive you of your Bitcoin in one way or another.
Yeah.
So that like as soon as something costs you Bitcoin involuntarily, there's a scammer somewhere.
Yeah.
And and that scammer is also orange pilled and has also realized that Bitcoin is the only thing worth your while. Yeah.
Can I just push back a little bit on that? Like, I struggle with whether somebody is just ignorant or whether they are willfully deceptive.
There are both people out. Yeah, of course. But those people aren't fully orange pilled yet. They haven't realized that they think that Bitcoin is one of many cryptocurrencies, and like they haven't realized anything yet. Like you have to realize that this is a discovery and not an invention before you can really before you can grasp how what a paradigm shift it is, the magnitude of this thing. You don't realize that until you see that as a discovery rather than an invention.
So without looking to, it's always better to go for the idea, not the person. But I'm gonna go the other way for a second. If you take somewhere like Kraken, and I think Jesse at Kraken understands food. I think he's absolutely, as you say, he is totally orange pilled, but yet he is choosing to go the other, like just personal financial gain. Whereas there are other people who have just not understood enough yet. And actually, I don't understand why Bitcoiners give a pass, or some Bitcoiners give a pass to the likes of Kraken because they're more, they've enabled Lightning, etc. So I don't understand that. Like, why are we giving a pass there?
Let me play the devil's advocate for places like Kraken and Coinbase, which I believe are they are shitcoin casinos.
Yes,
but they started their businesses very early on in Bitcoin's history, and at that point, the only way of making money off of this, or the most efficient way of making money off of this, was to sell shitcoins. And they weren't really, it's possible that they weren't aware that they were shitcoins at the time, because like we have seen Bitcoin evolve into what it is. And like this was a completely different story back in 2014 when people were exchanging magic internet tokens on their Linux computers, and there was no software or no infrastructure built around it. So it was a lot more difficult to distinguish Bitcoin from shitcoins at that point. I mean, everyone has had their shitcoin journey, and it took people more or less time to realize what it was. But I guess the people at these shitcoin casino exchanges at this point, many of them, I know many of them personally, and they are fully orange pilled. But then again, they're still working at this place that started its business back then, and it knows about that it probably shouldn't promote these scams. But then again, that it is how their own business is constructed. And then you have people like Jack Mallers who just says, "Fuck that! I'm not doing that thing. I'm dropping fees to zero and trying to build a business by some other means, and just using Bitcoin as the motor around under the hood, so to speak." So in defense of shitcoin casinos, they all had their history, and like I think not all of them started out with bad intentions.
So are we just waiting for, founders of these shitcoin casinos to have their Jack Dorsey moment and walk away?
Well,
is that what we're hoping for, or?
That's what we're hoping for. Then there are others who had plenty of chances to have that moment, but that choose to double down on the shitcoin show, like Eric Voorhees, for instance, who keeps on like telling people that there's a point to trading these tokens and trying to buy. I mean, of course, people should be free to buy and sell whatever they want. But you should know that in trading shitcoins, you are promoting scams and you're legitimizing a behavior that is very, very fiat. Like shitcoins are peak fiat. That's what they are. They are a covert attack on Bitcoin. Like if you think about how a bad actor would attack Bitcoin, like this is the most plausible attack vector, that you come up with something that seems similar to Bitcoin to the ignorant masses, and you promote the shit out of it and see what happens. Like that's what I would do if I tried to destroy Bitcoin. I wouldn't though, because I would realize it would be a fool's errand. But I think this is sort of what's happening. Maybe they don't have the explicit intention to destroy Bitcoin or whatnot, but it's effectively what they're trying to do, and they're all failing spectacularly. All the shitcoins go to zero, and all these exchanges will too at some point, and they will be remembered as opportunists at best in the future.
Sorry, Blaine, go on.
So what's your take on the World Economic Forum kind of not necessarily advocating for Ethereum, but at least saying, hey, if you guys seen Ethereum, blah blah blah, is it like, my take is that basically it's pretty much the same fucking thing, and that's why they want to kind of move towards it. You know what I mean?
The same thing.
Like a fiat based ideology.
Proof of stake. Fiat is proof of stake. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
And like a company is proof of stake. That's like bonds and equities. They are proof of stake, right? If you're the majority owner, you get to decide more. So that is proof of stake. That's what proof of stake is. There's no, and that's why all these shitcoin shows are companies. That's what they are, and so are governments. By the way, they're criminal companies, but companies nonetheless. They have an agenda, and they want to survive. So they want to thrive. So they leash as much value as they can, and they have a monopoly on violence. So it's easy for them. Anyway, what was your question again? About the World Economic Forum.
Yeah, like pushing Ethereum. Obviously, it's in their interest.
Yeah, and they just released a little movie about how bad proof of work is and everything.
Yeah.
And I don't know to which extent it is a conspiracy. But I do know that incompetence is the real trickle-down economy. So if you have a malicious actor or an incompetent person on top, that incompetence will trickle down throughout the entire organization. And an organization like the WEF that has this Bond villain on top, all that Klaus needs is a fluffy cat.
Yeah, that's
right. Maybe a pool of piranhas. He probably has that already, but yeah. Maybe he's allergic to cats. But I think the majority of people in his organization, including all these young leaders of the world, that they are not. I believe a large part of them truly believe that they are helping the planet by falling for all these childish narratives about paper straws and whatnot, and the bans on CO2 emissions and all this carbon footprint bullshit. I think they're to a large extent naive. And then they fall for this Bitcoin is horrible for the environment thing because they can't see past that past their own biases about the old world that they live in.
Trickle down.
So they have a long, trickle down incompetence. They have a long way to go. But as I say, I don't know to which extent it is a conspiracy. And I try to, whenever I can, I try to. The easiest way to explain something is more often than not the correct way. And I think incompetence explains a lot more than that everything was like maliciously constructed to dupe everyone on Earth, and like that goes for the lockdown things as well. I mean, you guys had a horrible time in Australia, I know, during the lockdowns, and people in countries like Spain and Sweden could not believe their eyes, like that Canada and Australia, which both countries used to be beacons of freedom. Like, you had Crocodile Dundee, for fuck's sake. He had a donk to solve his problem.
Yeah, that's not a knife.
Problem. He was like, and so Australia used to be like, yeah, we could move there. It's a dangerous place because there are dangerous animals, but you could do whatever the fuck you want in Australia. That used to be the Australia I grew up with, and now it's like everyone became a, very delicate little flower overnight.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if China's buyout of Australia had anything to do with it. I mean, there are a lot of Chinese companies in Australia. Do you think that had an influence on the politics around COVID? Like, is there a strong connection, or is
COVID?
I don't know. I think Australia tends to always take the lead from the US. So we, the whole, the US sneezes, everyone else catches a cold. I think that's never more true than in Australia.
But
Australia is
Australia
more
taught.
I was going to say Australia's kind of woke in the south and more towards like one nation in the far north. Like that, it's a different country as well. I mean, that's obviously a generalization. I'm going to offend somebody by saying that.
No, it's true though.
But if you go to Melbourne's a very woke, very wealthy, very woke city. Well-meaning people. I don't doubt most of the intention, but the action is quite frightening often. The further north you go, it flips to the other side. So Australia, yes, obviously it's a big landmass, and I'm not from here, so I've lived here for 10 years, but it definitely has changed. COVID has changed it. I tend to agree with the not lack of conspiracy more, but I do think that there are always going to be opportunists that see things and play to their own agendas, whatever they might be.
And especially in politics, like if you see I think a lot of politicians around the world saw an opportunity to be like, I'm going to signal that I'm strong and that I'm doing something about it.
Yeah, definitely.
And then they do these horrible things to people.
Yeah,
like locking them up. And no one seems to like. They're all doing. They claim that they're doing it to save lives, right? But if you take a simple thing like when you stand in line at the airport to prove that you're not a terrorist, which you're not, and you have to wait for the little green boxes to put your shit in, and they have to be disinfected first, so that takes a lot of time. So you have to prove that you don't have a virus. Which doesn't kill you, and all of these bullshit things that they're trying to make you afraid of. You have to waste, like, imagine how much time a person traveling from one continent to another wastes in these bullshit security things. I guess you spend. If you include the PCR tests of whatnot, you spend like. And filling in forms online for applying for a visa and declaring your health status. So did you sneeze the last two couple of weeks, and you have to press you have to tick the box that says no, and all this time, small time thieves that are everywhere.
Yes.
If you add all that up, say that you spend like 10 hours or just for say that you spend like well, maybe it's not that much, but say that you spend 2.4 hours doing all this bullshit. It's more than that. Say you spend 4.8 hours doing it. So that's like what's that? A fifth of a day. And so you spend a fifth of a day doing that, and you add that up, so you get that times 5 times 365 times, say, the average length of a person's life, which is even if you calculate it high and you put 80 years, you get a number. And if you add up all the travelers for each time, that adds up to and you have to take into consideration that people that are not very good with computers and everything take even more time to do all this stuff. So if you add all that up for all the passengers, then every time you've stolen the equivalent of 80 years, you've killed a person. So you
oh wow.
So you're stealing time, and you can continue with this thought thread, and you can start viewing, hang on, inflation is just the same thing, right? Whenever you're stealing the value from someone's money, you're stealing time. That's what you're doing. Yeah. You're making them work longer and longer hours. In a world in 2022, when we have all the tools and the technologies we could dream of, like we're having a video conference. I'm sitting in Spain. You're sitting in fucking Australia. There's not even a lag.
Yeah.
This wasn't possible 3 years ago.
Yeah,
and we all just assume it's just normal now. That's the other thing.
Yeah, and it's incredible, truly incredible that we can do this. Imagine trying to explain this to, like, the people who directed the Roger Moore Bond movies. They wouldn't believe you.
Yeah,
I mean,
sorry, how did you get a Roger Moore Bond movie reference?
No, I was thinking maybe it's explaining it to like a Roman chariot or something, but I think
nice.
you have to. It's even, you don't have even to have go to. And I was thinking of the Bond gadgets when they had video conferencing. I thought it was
the Klaus Schwab cat, maybe.
Yeah, Let's do more Bond references, but
we'll drink
in the Roger Moore Bond movies, they had these video conferencing watches, and they were a total science fiction at that point. When I was a kid, so you have all this stuff that saves you time. And still, people work more and more hours for a third party all the time because of inflation. So inflation is a partial death sentence. So is a tax policy, and so are the COVID measures and how they steal your time. Not only by locking you up. You guys had the concentration camps. We didn't have those here, but like not only every time they lock you up, but every time they steal your attention. Or you're forced to fill in a form somewhere, or just using the money they're issuing, they're imposing a partial death sentence on you.
Yeah,
that's an interesting way.
It's just time theft. It's all just time theft.
It's time theft. Yeah, and time theft is a much, much, much worse crime than we realize that it is. Because like we could have lives where we could do whatever we wanted every day. The technologies are all there. But we're forced to work all the time like slaves because of the time theft.
Like, how important do you view your Bitcoin? And then if the question was then, well, if you had the choice between Bitcoin or time, which would you choose? You know, that's the discussion we're having, really, isn't it?
I just visualized the meme. They're the same thing meme.
Yeah, the Spider-Man.
Yeah, the same. Bitcoin and time are like, Bitcoin is the best representation of human time that has ever existed, and probably that ever will exist, because it is as scarce, and it can reflect the scarcity of everyone's lifetime, not only of our generations, but every forthcoming generation. I think everyone is underestimating the upcoming set squeeze, by the way. Like, we're the first generation of Bitcoiners. 10 years from now, a lot of us will have died because people die. And a lot of us will take our Bitcoins to the grave. So I guess
every day there's Bitcoins losing because nobody passed on their keys, right?
Exactly. And people lose Bitcoins without dying all the time.
Yeah.
So I think everyone's underestimating how few Bitcoins there will be on the market in just 10 years from now. I bet it's under 1 million. And I hear
not
all
total
the time,
circulation.
like,
you're talking about available to
Available.
Yeah, it's available Bitcoin.
yeah, available to buy, and
gotcha. Oh yes, I agree.
I get that all the time on Twitter. Like people say, actually, it's not everything divided by 21 million. It's more like 14 million. And I'm like, you're a clever bloke, aren't you?
The
it's going to decrease forever.
I have a friend of ours, Brisket. Was he BTC Brisket? I can't remember.
Yeah.
But Brisket is.
That's a good name.
Yeah, I consider myself a pedant, but Brisket is next level pedant. It's just, he's great. He's great. I'll miss a word and he'll be on me. It's good.
He's awesome.
So mate, so here's a question. So what is toxic maximalism, right? And I know you've said in the past, shitcoiner term for truth.
For honesty, yeah.
For honesty, excuse me, yeah. So what is it, and should we all try and be more pragmatic?
Pragmatic, yes. Hostile, no.
Yes.
Like, we need to be pragmatic and point out. We still need to point out whenever someone's wrong on the internet and poke them.
Can we point?
I think there's something to that, but like, this is one of the most dangerous things about falling down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, because a lot of Bitcoiners tend to, like, once they grasp praxeology and start to see the clown world for what it is, and start to see through start seeing the men behind the curtain, and why things are the way they are, and why certain people promote certain ideas, and so they do the lazy thing, and they see everything as a conspiracy and all the fiat science is fake science, and then they become like flat earthers and anti-vaxxers for the wrong reasons, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
I think there's a very good point to be made here to other Bitcoiners, that, like, don't forget what got you into Bitcoin in the first place. You came into Bitcoin because you were curious and because you had an imaginative mind that was not afraid to ask the question, wait, but why? Like that's and you're still supposed to do that. You shouldn't just cling on to the opposite of whatever was true before just because it turned out not to be true. Something being false doesn't necessarily mean that the opposite is true. Yeah. So I think people ought to be more rigorous in their analysis of what's going on.
You're like a wise Yoda. I love this.
A wise Yoda, because Yoda wasn't wise.
Well, maybe he's wiser than
Yoda. There you go. You put that on your resume.
What's the Anchorman reference? Like a wise Buddha covered in fur, like he's talking about his dog. Well, I'm just looking at his stubble, and he's got that rock star hair.
Oh, the name of the video was the rock star hair in the video.
Man, that was awesome.
That was special. We'll definitely be linking that up.
Yeah.
What was I going to go with that?
I don't know. I've thrown you completely.
I definitely had a question there. What were we talking about?
Yeah, I tend to not answer questions in interviews like this. I tend to just wander off of whatever.
That's fine. Perfect.
I always forget what the question is.
That's all good.
So I think we didn't. I know you were asking about the 20 everything divided by 21 million, and
I was at toxic maximalism and pragmatism, but
yeah, my
point, we do the same. We come on this pod and we get a beer and we talk to each other or talk to somebody else, and 100% honesty. What you have written has been important to me, so I wanted to do it justice to actually genuinely ask questions that maybe I hadn't heard answered before, and I wanted to hear your answer, but also not just get lost in the conversation. So I am more than happy to just go freestyle. That's totally fine. I'll be disappointed when I come off and didn't get the answer to my question, but but more than happy to do that. But I just wanted to it's just purely selfish reasons. That's what I wanted to do.
Excellent.
But by all means, you go wherever you want to take it.
Can I ask, before you go on to your next one, can I ask a question? Do you have a woodpecker in your room at the moment?
A woodpecker?
There seems to be a lot of clicking. I'm the audio guy, if you can't tell.
Like, it's the chair, I think.
No, that's not it. Oh, that's it?
That's maybe the chair.
Might be the chair. There's no woodpeckers around. There you go.
Oh, that was definitely it. That sounded like a machine gun.
Yeah. I'll try to sit still.
No, you're good, mate. Before we came on, we had the bet. Can we make Knut jump up and down in his chair? And Brendo just won.
Okay, I can do this.
Oh, actually, while. Oh shit!
Oh, that's going to cost you 1,000. Thank you.
That's 1,000 sats. I just doxed him. That's the first time in like many episodes,
I'll
actually.
take it, though.
Yeah. Oh, that's thrown.
No one would have noticed unless you said that. Like if you hadn't said
trust
that.
me, they notice.
They notice, and I've got to beep his name out anyway, so it's very obvious. But now I've totally thrown what
I'm taking
my
the money
question was.
though. I'm taking the sats because we're giving. We're going to give it to somebody that deserves it at the end, but we're going to have to work out how we're going to do that.
Yeah. Damn it!
I hope I can sit still now. Like every other Bitcoiner, I'm probably on the spectrum. So,
but you know what? The only other pod that we've done was with Camilla. You know Camilla Campton. Have you met Camilla? Oh, it's Swan.
I think so.
You'd know her anyway. She's
I mean,
lovely.
Yeah. Apologies to Camilla if I forgot something, but you know, I have there's a lot of new faces and new names, especially post Miami.
You'd know her. You'd know her if you saw her. Anyway, she's beautiful.
Brendo's a fan.
She's lovely, but when we had her on, she had this puffer jacket on, and it was like, you know, the really noisy. So, every question, every kind of, hand gesture was making this movement. And as the audio guy, I
never noticed that once.
Oh, man, I did. Anyway, but I'm like...
Man, he's never up checking his chair. You should just not have a chair. That's what surely...
No, I should sell all my shares.
Yeah.
But anyway, as I was saying, I was very reluctant to ask Camilla to take a jacket off because that would be inappropriate. You're gonna have to shout her out on this one.
Definitely go shout out. Right. Okay. Here's one for you. Right. If countries are just ideas, what's the future for countries on a Bitcoin standard?
That's a very good question. I guess citadels. Like I'm hoping for a world in which countries get smaller and smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And like borders are supposed to be like they're there to defend property, and like Europe used to have city states and so on, and that's like I believe the smaller the community is, the better. And there's something to be said about Dunbar's number here, if you know what that is. When
I don't.
It's like the number of connections you can actually remember, the number of people you can actually know simultaneously, and it's a pretty low number. It's like between 150 and 200. And
that's just the excuse you're using for not remembering everybody that wanted to talk to you about
exactly. Yeah. My Dunbar's number is probably way lower than that. But it's the reason why flocks of chimpanzees and baboons and such other primates, why they don't, their tribes never grow beyond this number, because they don't have what we humans have. We have our collective imaginations and our fantasies to unite us in groups larger than that. So that's what religions are. That's what nations are. That's what money is. It's a collective hallucination in that sense, that we can all agree on some arbitrary thing that doesn't really exist, but we make it exist by all believing in it, and therefore we can form larger communities than what Dunbar's number allows for. And I believe that's a nation state is a product of that in a way. And so Bitcoin is just an agreement and a fixed set of rules.
Yeah,
it's nothing more than that. And as long as we once you realize that, and like if I play by this fixed set of rules, these rules can benefit me and everyone else at the same time. When you come to that realization, you realize that all the other rules are less important than this set of rules. This is the fixed set of rules that I really need to abide by, because that will benefit everyone much more than these other rules that are set by the old system. Like you have nation states all around the world. They all have different laws, different views of morality. Like in one country it's forbidden for women to drive, and in another country it's forbidden to call a woman you know. So all the laws of the world are different, and you have all these different jurisdictions, even though we're the same species, all of us. So and in a sense, when you then find a set of rules which we can all subscribe to, or then that is obviously the better system than just clinging on to whatever anything else is. And I think this is how the world. Bitcoin will incentivize governments and institutions and whatnot to. They will have to become more friendly to Bitcoin at some point, because all the jurisdictions that are and that will be will leapfrog them, or like they will thrive more. It will be like other things that countries evolve, right? And even the notion of a country is not. I mean, I guess religions used to unite us more than national borders at a couple of thousands of years ago. I don't really know where I'm getting at here, but it's hard to tell. The time frame of this thing is very hard to see, because we don't know if hyper Bitcoinization happens in the next 10 years or in the next 400 years. There's no way of telling. And like, but the thing we do know is that it disincentivizes violence on all levels of society. It forces is the wrong word. It incentivizes is a better word. People to be honest and peaceful rather than dishonest and forceful. Because when you cannot know what another person has, because he can store it in his head, and so you cannot know if a person remembers. Let's take an easy example here. If a person has remembered 24 words, say 2 different 12-word seed phrases, and the majority of his Bitcoin is in one, and the other 12 words are just some arbitrary number of Bitcoins that he can easily give away, then you can force him to tell you one, but you can't even know how many other seed phrases he has remembered. So you cannot know no one can know how much another person owns in Bitcoin right now. So right now, it's probably better to give something of value back than to try to force someone to give something to you, because of the potential riches that lie there. So if you kill someone, you can take their stuff, but you can't take their Bitcoins. So you're incentivized not to use violence, and this, as Bitcoin grows and as more and more people adopt it, like, violence makes a lot less sense, and it's the costs of being violent are increased. Like waging war on a country which potentially holds most of its value in Bitcoin, like, there's no point in starting a war against that country, because you will obviously make more money just by trading with them. So you're like, and this is on the macro scale, but even on a micro scale, like you take away the incentive for violence everywhere.
It's
and
incredible.
That's a beautiful thing. Yeah,
it's just a world that we just don't know. We've never had.
No,
and it makes you. I mean, it makes you want to live for a long time, doesn't it? Just to see what happens.
Yeah,
like that's the hope. That's the hope that people are getting. They want to. If you can see a more positive future, why would you not want to delay gratification on everything so you can enjoy as much as you possibly can?
Yeah, and there's a lot of fear about the transition, because the system we're living in now is by design not sustainable, and it cannot work in the long run because you have to print more and more every year to keep up with the ever increasing progress in all technologies that get better and better over time. So you have to print more and more, which will lead to more and more government dependency, to more and more, the elite taking a larger chunk of the entire net worth of the planet, and more and more poverty, more and more this what they call a useless class, which is a horrible word, and like so that is going to go to shit anyway, regardless of if Bitcoin exists or not. So Bitcoin is a beacon of light in that, and it might just converting to Bitcoin and starting to live that lifestyle instead is it has helped so many people and will keep on doing so, and it's too good, and I believe it will at some point become obvious to people, and look at the rate in which it is increasing, like its adoption and the price and everything. Look at what it has done in 12 years. I mean, 2 countries now, the Central African Republic as well is adopting it as a national currency, and in just 11 or 12 years, like it's and nobody even knew about it the first couple of years. I mean, when was the first time you read about it or heard about it? For most people, it wasn't 2010, that's for sure.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know, 13, 14 maybe or something for me, but yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, I saw something incredible on I think it's the BEAC, which is the Central Bank for Central African Countries.
Yeah,
put out a statement today to say that they heard about the making of Bitcoin legal tender at the same time as the general public. They had no forewarning.
Really?
Yeah, the central bank had no forewarning. I mean, it just made me smile.
Yeah.
Like that, is that wonderful?
Yeah.
Like what you mean you didn't get an advantage over the people?
Yeah.
That's what that's saying, right? It's wonderful.
It is. And like it gives hope to Africa, definitely.
Oh,
and to South America, a hope that they haven't seen in a long while, because imagine all these countries living on their trying to have their own currencies and stuff, and that are obviously bound to go to shit at some point.
Well, that's it. And we've lived in this privileged, Western world for our lives, but a lot of people have never known what we've had. And probably had never had any hope that they could know what we've had, experience what we've had.
And most people think that an economy is a zero-sum game, and that someone else has to suffer just because someone gets a better life. But that's definitely not the case. Like the way to fight poverty is not by fighting prosperity. You cannot fight poverty by fighting prosperity. It's the other way around. To promote prosperity is to fight poverty.
Yeah. So let's go negative. Let's go negative. So I've probably had two points where I've thought, oh, this is it. This is hyper Bitcoinization, right? And genuinely believed it. I thought, here we go. But
hang on, what are those 2 points? You're going to share those?
Well, the first one, we're probably talking 17, and then the second one would have been, but God knows when it would have been, a couple of years ago, right? Whatever we were, I don't know. It's all price related, of course, because you're seeing people. It's not to do with the price, but you're just seeing the people coming in, and they're coming in because of the price, right?
Yes.
So it's the people that's the actual thing that you're looking for. And but and I was wrong twice, but
don't worry, I'm sorry, man.
It's a woodpecker again.
I wish I didn't bring it up.
He's doing running repairs on the chair.
Sorry, mate. Don't worry.
That's so funny. That's a really serious question as well. No, I'm joking. If politicians, the only game they have is printing money and kicking the can down the road, okay? And my whole life I've been surprised by how long they're able to kick the can down the road. Then if you bring in, there's the chair. Then if you bring in COVID. Not to make this a COVID issue, but I mean, had there not been COVID, we wouldn't have been here yet. We almost like needed COVID to get to here, and this is here. This is we're I don't know how close we are to hyper-Bitcoin. Like my point is, if without COVID, we might have been another 10 years back, 10 years on or something before we're getting into this position.
Yeah.
So
the same goes for video conferencing. Video conferencing became a lot better due to COVID.
Yes. Yeah, so I guess there's positives, right?
Yeah.
But so the question, I guess, is what is your opinion on how long governments can kick the can? Because all governments will try to kick the can.
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, or the million sat question, isn't it? And it's very hard to tell. I mean,
sorry, I'm not asking you to make predictions.
There was even during the financial crisis of 2008, there was a risk that everything will go to shit.
Yep.
But they decided to just snowball it and postpone the crisis and make it bigger. So, but that illusion has been running for, what is it now? Like almost 15 years.
Or 15, 14 years, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess unsustainable things can stay sustainable for a long time. So I don't know. I don't know if it's going to shit next year or in 10 years. Or like I have no idea. It's very hard to tell. I had another point there. Let's rewind to what you said before that. Yeah, the point about hyper-Bitcoinization, and that you predicted it to happen in 2017 and now the last bull run. I don't believe it truly begins before people start to accept nothing but Bitcoin as payment for the goods and services. It's not about people buying Bitcoin. It's about people earning Bitcoin and refusing to get paid in anything else. That's when you have the real first tipping point towards hyper-Bitcoinization. But that's what needs to happen. And that doesn't happen until people see that, no, I don't want your shitcoin. I don't want dollars. Like, it's a shitcoin.
Yeah. We're at the very early stages of seeing that. Like Andy, another guy we've had on the pod, Andy tagged me in on a tweet yesterday or day before from a gentleman who was looking to sell an investment property and wanted to know, what would be the best way of sort of either selling it for Bitcoin or taking the profit and getting into Bitcoin, or that kind of thing. So the thought process is there. People are thinking about that they want to receive Bitcoin for whatever it is they have, either their time and their energy and their effort, or their assets that they hold. But I don't think we're close to when that's. I mean, we think we're in the.
No, we're very, very early. It's obvious that we're very, very early, and in Miami, it was obvious there too. I mean, can you
expand on that? Sorry, what do you mean by that? It was very obvious there.
The amount of shitcoinery going on in the conference still, 2022, and that they need that in order to finance it. It's a hint at how early we are.
Interesting.
And how many people you meet there that really have no clue about the distinction between Bitcoin and shitcoins. Still, in 2022, they have they're clueless about it. They think,
Well, I mean, people have worked for banks their entire careers that don't understand what money is.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think that people like we should remember that at all times. Most people haven't, fallen this hard down the rabbit hole and are not read up on praxeology, and they don't know this stuff. Most people don't do their homework. even when it's staring in their faces that they should do their homework. I mean, even me, who I'm writing books about it and everything, but I have a bad conscience all the time because I should do more research. I should get better at different aspects of this. Right now, I'm falling deep down the praxeology rabbit hole, and have been for a while. But I should be learning more about the technical aspects and the code. I should learn how to understand every row of code in the Bitcoin core. there's really no excuse not to know what not to know stuff, especially for something this important.
But you automatically, I think we all just gravitate to the things that we're better at.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, but we find them easier, right? And it's natural that because we find. But then you have this sort of nagging thing in the back of your, Catan.
Yeah.
You'll be aware of Catan, I'm sure. It was
the board game.
No, Stefan's partner at
Ministry of
Nodes. Yeah. So he did a presentation at the Bush Bash, the Australia's version of Bitcoin conference, and it was one thing after another where I was just going, oh shit, I need to do that, but it's not my natural ballpark or whatever it was they're saying. So I just I go the other way and I do the thing that I can do, but it's just
talking about multi-sig and coin joins and such, right?
And all sorts of just making it was becoming your, what was this name of his presentation?
Digital fortress.
Creating your own digital fortress.
But to that point,
a sovereign individual.
To that point, a friend of mine in Copenhagen told me a story that made me think about him giving his mother like 1,000 kronas or something in Bitcoin on a blockchain.info wallet in 2015 or something. And after that, he's been rigorously studying all the technical aspects of Bitcoin, and he's been running his own node, different versions of it, downloading different versions of software, and trying out coin joins and trying out mixers and trying out multi-sig solutions and different hardware wallets and all of this stuff. And like in 2022, who do you think has more Bitcoin left, him or his mother? Like, because you can become an expert at all of this stuff, but it takes some experimenting, right, to really know this stuff. You can't just read a book and you have to do these security practices and try them out, and you have to do all this stuff. But someone's mother who just forgets about it for 7 years,
that's wonderful.
Is more likely to still sit on her Bitcoin. And even if this wallet provider is corrupt or whatnot, they're not likely to steal from a long-term hodler. They're likely to steal from someone who does stuff all the time. So like there's something to that. Inactivity. Bitcoin incentivizes patience, if anything. So,
but also that young kid's contributing in some way.
Of course, and I wouldn't say that it's wrong to do that, to experiment and to learn and to do all the stuff yourself. You don't have to make all the mistakes, but some mistakes you should make them. But there's something to that.
Well, what you're saying is we're going to have some really undeserving OGs.
That don't know their OGs.
Some people may think that a mother is undeserving, but I'm not one of them. I think mothers are also
nice.
Right.
Are you listening to this, mother?
We'll send her a copy. So as you've become a bit more sort of well known in the Bitcoin world, how has that affected or restricted the way that you sort of conduct yourself, behave, talk, or do you find yourself checking yourself because you might know somebody at some, that kind of stuff?
Well, I went into this. I started writing about Bitcoin just after having read Nassim Taleb's the Skin in the Game.
Yep.
And that book influenced me a lot because in that is like the big takeaway from that is like, if you don't have anything to lose by throwing your name out there, or like if there's nothing to lose from your actions, you will not be as good as at your job as if you would have. And like this explains politicians because they all have nothing to lose because they're spending other people's money. It doesn't matter to them. So that's why they're so crap at their jobs. And it explains a lot of phenomena in the world. Like if you have nothing to lose, you have so I wanted to have something to lose. I wanted to like connect my name to it so that it became more real in a sense, and that I needed to perform better. and that's and I turned the first articles into a book, and that book was the only thing I had to my name. So I realized if I want to make really try and make a name for myself in this space, I have to write a proper book. So that's what motivated me to write Sovereignty to Mathematics. And it's been working well, better than I could ever imagine so far. I mean, I think it's a lot about, without bragging too much, but having the courage to try. You have one life. It's not a rehearsal, so you might as well. What's the worst that can happen? I could fail.
All right.
So what?
So Hats, are you ready to come out and announce your real name?
No.
But no. Don't like. I do understand why people want to be anonymous.
Of course.
And in hindsight, maybe I should have been anonymous too. And there's something, I mean, that your avatar sort of becomes your brand name or whatever. So there's some skin in the game there too. But that's not the path I chose, and I'm sticking to the path I chose. So that's why I'm not anonymous. And I don't mind, like, if I really think about what the worst that could happen is, like, a lot of bad things can happen, but like becoming a martyr and ending up in a prison for not paying my taxes or whatever, that wouldn't be too bad. I could still argue. I mean,
yeah.
Worse things can happen, right?
That's such
like,
I've had a Bitcoiner answer.
Yeah, but I had a great life so far, and I'm grateful for it, and I'm not afraid of speaking my mind anymore. And I think more people should speak their minds, and I think they should be less afraid of being judged for what they are, because if you cannot allow yourself to be yourself, then what's the point of anything, really? Like, I want to live a life where I can be honest, not only to other people, but to myself, and Bitcoin enabled that, definitely.
Well, firstly to yourself, and then to other people, I reckon. Like,
yeah,
that's the order.
That might be the order. Yeah,
because you can't. Well, sorry, I'm sorry. I'm not telling you what your order should be, but like that.
No, that is the order. You're totally right.
Because you can't help anybody unless you're firstly, in a place to help.
No, and I believe that, like, you can't love someone properly if you don't love yourself first either.
Yeah,
and
agreed.
But there's something to be said about ego, like, and Jeff Booth talks about this all the time, and I learned a lot from him and his thinking around it, about how ego is the only thing that is stopping you from doing anything, really. Your ego is telling you that you're not good enough, or your ego is telling you that you need to do this and that and to conduct yourself in this or that manner in order to signal this and that to this or that person. All of that is your ego. So it's not until you drop your ego and start focusing on ideas instead of people, including yourself, that, like, and then you can talk about an idea, and you don't have to think about, like, your reputation or your part of it, because that's an ego thing to do. So try to take yourself out of the equation, and you will be able to do more. And it's as simple as that. And I think it's connected to time preference. This is in the new book. Like, as you've both read the Bitcoin Standard, right? And about heard Seyfedin's talks about time preference. And there's a lot to that, because, like, when you have a high time preference, if you're robbed of all that you own, you need to find food and shelter. And you won't survive if you don't. So you're going to do whatever it takes to find food and shelter, which is more barbaric, more fearful. And if you on the opposite side of that spectrum, if you can keep all the fruits of your labor and accumulate capital, you can afford to plan ahead for the future, and you can afford to be a more long-term thinker. Take a step back and have a more helicopter view of your life and everyone around you. so that is less fearful and less barbaric, more civilized. And like, what is the opposite of fear? It's love. The opposite of fear is love. And everyone does everything. Most of what they do psychologically, they do because they want love. They crave love from other people. They crave attention, or like some confirmation that they matter to others. That's why we do things. And by adopting a lower time preference, we're able to accumulate more love and to give more love. More importantly, to give more love to others. So I think that's key here, and that's also ties in perfectly to everything else about Bitcoin. You know, disincentivizing violence and so on. It's the opposite of fear is love, and so we're moving from a fearful system to a loving system.
Yeah, well said.
That's
well
awesome.
Said. I've got, if you don't mind, I've got two more quick things. One's a practical one, and one's they're both kind of practical ones, I suppose. Fractional reserve exchanges.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on that? Like, what, like, I know we can sort of repeat the "not your keys, not your Bitcoin" mantra, and that we should encourage people to do that. But like, what do you?
I just heard a theory a couple of weeks back that this explains. I think it was Alex Vetsky that talked about this. That this might explain why the price isn't higher than it is. Because there's a lot of fractional reserve Bitcoin going on, and people think they have more Bitcoins than they do, and then some fucking exchange is going to do a big rug pull on everyone when there's a bank run, and they're going to run away with all the money.
You believe that? You believe you? I believe that, but do you believe?
I believe that there's definitely a possibility that is true, and of course I can't name I don't know where it's going on and to what extent, but I would even go so far that I would be surprised if there was no fractional reserve Bitcoin going on at all. This emphasizes the importance of holding your own keys, of course, because if you don't really know if those Bitcoins are yours or not.
So, but ultimately though, like, that's not good for Bitcoin. So if there is some massive run and then people find out, not necessarily normies, but people just think, I want some skin in the game, find out that they never owned anything in the first place. Reputationally, that's...
Short term, it's bad for...
Oh, short term,
it's bad for Bitcoin.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, why isn't it good for Bitcoin?
Yeah.
It makes people into more rigorous Bitcoiners. It turns people
No, it does. Yeah, sorry, yeah. Short term,
all of these scams, including all the shitcoins and everything, are... what they are doing, they're helping people become aware of stuff that they should be aware of.
Yeah.
So just as COVID made video conferencing better, bad actors are turning people into better Bitcoiners, and more sovereign individuals.
Yeah, but let's say, sorry to be devil's advocate, let's say, so Commonwealth Bank here is experimenting with at least Bitcoin, Ethereum, probably Litecoin or whatever.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be a lot of people coming in totally blind, thinking that they are buying Bitcoin. And then if that rug, when that rug inevitably is pulled, because I'm assuming that Combank and all these other guys are going to do the exact same thing.
Well, their model, the current banking model is a fractional system, right? So they're going to stick with their system.
Yeah, they're going to say, hey guys, we're good for it. You buy what you want to buy. We're good for it.
Sorry, I was going to say, I don't think the likes... I would be very doubtful if the likes of Combank were... I believe they will fractionally sell you Bitcoin.
No doubt.
But I don't think they'll be the ones that get... That's where you'll experience the rug pull.
No.
You'll experience the rug pull on a maybe not like a coin, not a Coinbase, but like a... Well, I don't know.
Coins,
maybe a coin.
Yeah, whatever.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Is there a question in here?
What was the question? Fraction. It was just about what was your opinion on fractional reserve?
I think
within exchanges.
Yeah, sorry if I interrupted you there, Brandon.
No, it's all good.
I think like most people are not aware that the Bitcoin, just like the sun is going up tomorrow as well with a very high probability, Bitcoin will function tomorrow as well with very high probability. and it is as inevitable as the circular shape was to the wheel. Bitcoin as the foundation of money in the future is as inevitable as the circle was as the best geometrical shape for constructing wheels. It's a long, tedious metaphor, but anyway, this is happening regardless of how much scams and shitcoinery and like fractional reserve bullshit that is going on currently. So like if the and I just as there are many other scams going on, I guess Bitcoin has taught me, these conferences with all the shitcoiners everywhere, and that the vast majority of people are so gullible, and like Bitcoin has exposed and illuminated all these truths about how crap people are at stuff. So I would say that to me it's been slightly depressing to see that. But then again, we had world wars and really stupid things like that happening. Like world wars wouldn't happen if people were clever, because they wouldn't have followed those stupid orders, right? So like, and so yeah, I guess there will be fractional reserve Bitcoining going on, and a lot of it, just as any other scam. But in the long run, all it does is teach people to be more rigorous with the security measures.
Yeah. So each rug pull is just a lesson, and it's actually a problem.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that they have to happen. So I guess that. Yeah, that ties into my answer. I do believe they will happen over and over again for quite some time, and I think it's very unfortunate that they will. But they serve a purpose in being very harsh lessons for people.
Yeah. I have one more. Do you have anything else you want to jump in?
No, I'm good.
So the last one really is.
But just to that point, just one more thing.
No, please.
I guess did you have a shitcoin face? Did you guys have shitcoin faces?
You're looking at my face and calling it a shitcoin face. Like, what's happening here?
Oh, do you mean
like face,
starting...
like PH?
Oh, face.
Face. Yeah.
No,
not face. Oh, you have a shitcoin face.
I was like, this is the only reason I'm anonymous.
Fucking hell. I'm hanging up. See ya, Newt.
I have to say it in Scotland, in Scottish. It's a face, not a face.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, you can talk more to that.
Kind of no. I first bought Bitcoin in late 2015, because a company was taking investments in the company in multiple coins, and one of which was Bitcoin. So I converted some fiat into Bitcoin, sent my Bitcoin to the company, blah blah blah. The company wasn't a scam. Company still exists. You know,
right.
it hasn't done as well as the Bitcoin would have done if I had just hung on to it. But you know, I didn't. But I didn't know. I did have a tiny amount of Litecoin, but only for a very brief period, and I've had nothing else. I was very fortunate. And you can speak for you.
Look, Hat's got me into the whole thing, so I started, and when I sort of got into it, I actually had some money, and I always wanted to get into shares or stocks as well, so I went down that route, and I bought Bitcoin, and I bought $100 of Ethereum, and $100 of XRP. And
that's it?
That's it. And then very quickly, probably 6 months later, I sold all the Ethereum, and I sold as much XRP as I could. That said, I think you have to have a minimum amount to get rid of. So I have $19. $19 of XRP I cannot get rid of.
That's hilarious. Why'd you ask the question?
Because I did too, of course. But I'm sort of proud of my shitcoin journey. I once found some Litecoin that I mined very early on. And so I could convert them instantly into Bitcoin and $100 or something. I don't remember exactly the figures, but that was in another phase. I don't really count that as the shitcoin phase because it's so early on.
If you're immediately converting to Bitcoin, that's like fiat mining, right?
Yeah.
It's like
but I did some mining just to try mining out on a graphics card or something really early on, and some of that was in Litecoin, which but it was so early on, so I don't even.
I'll give you a pass on that one, man. That's okay.
but my shitcoin investment phase, I'm proud of it because I lost the total amount of like $8 on shitcoining. so I invested $10 in one of those multiple currency wallets, and I put $1 into each coin just to see what happened.
Wow.
And then two of the coins went up, Bitcoin being one of them. And 8 others went down. So of course I was at a net loss, and I thought like, I'm never going to know which ones are going up or down. I know that Bitcoin is going up long term, but I could never be this guy that sits and tries to get this insider information.
Yeah.
So this is bullshit. It's all a big fucking the house always makes more money than the fucking player. This is Las Vegas. This is bullshit. So that's my shitcoin phase. But my point being that we all had a shitcoin phase. So we're all falling for these scams, and people will continue to do so. We have to remember that people are early on in their journeys, and no matter how good the education is now, and no matter how articulate Michael Saylor is, it doesn't matter. People will still fall for scams.
Yeah.
Like, because they do. And we all do. We were all falling for our natural currencies for most part, the biggest part of our lives. We were all falling for natural currencies, right? So we're falling for bullshit all the time.
Oh, my wise furry Yoda. You're awesome.
Furry? I guess I am sort of furry.
Oh yeah, I got it.
I shaved for today. Look at this. I mean, my probably biggest shitcoin was actually it wasn't even a cryptocurrency. It was at the end of 2008. I ploughed into Royal Bank of Scotland because it tanked as part of the, whatever you call it over here, the GFC or the credit crunch or whatever he calls it. The global financial crisis. And my thinking was, well, they're not going to let it, they're too big to fail. So I ploughed into Royal Bank of Scotland and made a bit of money. But that was a shitcoin. And I knew it was a shitcoin.
Yeah.
Like that was it's just a fiat shitcoin. That's all.
Yeah.
Same thing. So that
all fiat are shitcoins, by the way. I categorize them into kleptocurrencies and cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, kleptocurrency. That's good.
The kleptos are the old fiat currencies, and the cryptos are the Bitcoin clones.
Yeah.
Cool. So, man, the last thing is, what's next for you? What's coming up for you? What do you want to do? And what who would you want to get in touch? Who if they picked up the phone and said, other than us obviously, if they picked up the phone and said, would you just come and talk, who would it be?
That's a very good question. I don't know anymore because I had so many.
You had them all.
So many moments, like just a Swan Bitcoin private party in Miami. I mean,
we didn't talk about that. Sorry.
No, I didn't buy a ticket for that, so we were just plebs. Me and Bitcoin Mechanic, who hadn't managed to find a barber for a couple of months. We're looking like trash and just showing up at this fancy place, and like the gatekeeper or the lady there at the desk told us not to that there was no way that we were getting in. And then some of the Swan guys see us and like, guys, come in. And we get these armbands, and it's like a $500 party with all of the hot shots from like a Swan private customer is someone who wants to buy Bitcoin for more than $100,000. So all of those guys were there. And so, but the Swan people let everyone in, so that let all of the funny, cool plebs were there as well. Like Susie B was there, and Pubby and Anders were there, and all of these, and we were all, of course, happy as hell. And there were waiters running around giving us oysters and drinks and stuff, and just a hell of a time.
That's awesome.
And so I met so many people there, and the entirety of Miami, like being invited to Michael Saylor's house and being one of those 50 people that got to go to his barbecue was just awesome. So thank you, Michael, if you're listening to this. I felt very privileged.
Yeah, can you tag him in this pod afterwards? Because that'd be handy.
He's been an incredible addition to like just the Bitcoin conversation.
And he won't return my DMs, prick.
And we were sitting like remember sitting there on one of his yachts with Daniel Prince, and we just looked at each other and started giggling because we were like, just a couple of months back, we were joking about this 100,000K yacht party, and there we are at 42K already on the yacht. So
I saw a photo with I think it was you Princey and was it Vallis?
Vallis as well.
That's a great shot.
Vallis has an even greater story about that, but he'll have to tell that himself. I'm not going to dox him. But like, and that's just one of the amazing things that happened to me at the conference. I mean, the book signings were like overwhelming to me because I didn't expect that kind of attention, but I was very happy with it. For sure.
Well deserved, mate.
100%. Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah. You're just gonna have to get used to it, I guess.
Yeah.
Just,
I guess so. Yeah. I'm just. It's humbling and not humbling at all at the same time. You know.
Yeah.
If you have a spectrum from total imposter syndrome to I am the Lizard King, I can do anything. Like. I know I'm somewhere on that line, but I have no idea where. But Miami felt closer to the Lizard King.
Awesome. Cool.
Mate, wonderful. Thank you. That's all I can say.
Great chat.
I guess.
Thank you guys. I enjoy this a lot. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks.
We have to go away and
ramble on.
We have to go away. Congratulations on Jeff doing the foreword in your book as well. I'm sure, and we're gonna.
Yeah. Jeff's a great guy. He's like the big. I only have 2 younger brothers, so Jeff is my surrogate bigger brother.
Okay, can you send Jeff a message?
He's my Yoda
on Hatz's behalf, because as he said,
I have a proper man crush for Jeff.
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne, you, and Jeff Booth. So if we can get Jeff on,
so we're gonna.
Yeah, I won't be able to get you Fishburne.
No,
but I can try with Jeff.
That'd be good.
So we'll ask. So when we get Jeff, we'll ask him about ego, because I want to ask him about ego now.
Do that and fall down that rabbit hole, because he's much better at articulating it than I am, and he taught me a lot about it, and he's a very, very wise man at this point. He's like beyond Yoda level.
He retains his composure so well.
Yeah,
and when I'd love to see Jeff lose his shit, that would be good. Just because I'd like to see the thing that made him do it, like
get angry.
Like what is it? What is the thing? Because he just retains his composure so well, and he speaks so well. When we also get Fishburne, what's your question for him? Do you have one?
For Fishburne,
what was it like filming with Bruce Willis?
All I can think about is questions I would ask Samuel L. Jackson now.
Oh, great. Just leave it there.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, mate.
Cheers. Don't tell Larry Fishburne, please.
I won't tell Lawrence either.
He's called Larry Fishburne in Apocalypse Now.
Gotcha.
So he's really young in that movie, and they call him Larry Fishburne in the. He's credited as Larry Fishburne.
There you go. Okay, so welcome to the awkward part of our pod where I try to finish it, and then we just keep talking.
Drinking.
Hat's always.
Sorry guys.
That's all good. Hat's always does this, and now you're part of the club. Thanks, man.
Yeah, and you can buy my book, by the way, and follow me on Twitter and all that shit.
We're not professionals, so yes.
Oh yeah, okay.
All the links to
fucking hell. This was going great until the end.
Hang on. It's all written down. We wrote it all down. Let's get through this. Connie, that's the only reason he came on, and I tell you what, the bill is going to cripple us for years. So the first one, Bitcoin sovereignty through mathematics, Bitcoin independence reimagined, and the new one, which I haven't read yet, which I will, Bitcoin everything divided by 21 million. Just go read them, guys. Just go and go read. And if you don't want to, if you've not got any money, you don't want to pay, well, you should give it. You should try. But you just go read everything in Citadel 21 because it's fabulous.
Or your public library.
Or your public library.
Yeah, or follow me on Twitter.
There you go.
I'm wise as often as I shitpost.
Furry wise Yoda on Twitter.
And I shitpost way too much.
All the links will be below, guys. Go see them.
Okay, thanks, man. Cheers.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy this a lot.
Hey guys, if you've made it this far, thanks so much for listening. The plan with the pod is to do sort of guests one week and myself and Brendo the other week, so hopefully that's working for you. If you don't like one of them, just listen to the one you do like. If you want a little bit more information from us, you can find it at bitcoin-first.com/learn.